It's Monday morning. You wake up feeling refreshed and ready to tackle the week. You check your phone and see an email from work asking for a status update on that project you were assigned over the weekend. Ugh! You think that project isn't due until Friday, but UVA got a ton of emails and Slack messages piling up and not nearly enough time to answer them all. Plus, there's that thing you were supposed to do yesterday but didn't quite get to it. You know, the thing that, oh wait, no, now you can't remember. Was it big or small? Well, here's the problem. You really want to take care of that project now, but you don't. You're still tired. You're not motivated to get right back into work mode. You wonder why it is so hard to get started and realize that you really just not a morning person. Or maybe you were really feeling well over the weekend and that SYU did unfinished. But then you realize that every time you put something off, you train yourself to be worse at starting tomorrow. Because every time you choose to start later, you're telling yourself that it's okay to procrastinate. And the next time you choose to start later, it's easier because it's already been practiced. And the next time you choose to start later, it's even easier because that's been practiced. And so on. So this pattern of doing it later keeps repeating itself, growing in its ability to paralyze you until finally it feels impossible. But here's the thing. It doesn't have to be impossible. You could start today. You could start this week right now. And you can start because you've been training. You may not realize it, but you've been training for a long time. You just haven't been training for starting. So here's the plan. Are you ready? Start. Sounds simple, right? It is. But here's why it's important. Starting is everything. Starting makes everything possible. And when you learn to start, you can do anything. But here's the reality. Starting is hard. There are countless examples of things that you've wanted to do, should do, would do, but just didn't start. And this happens for two reasons. First, you're not clear on what to do. When you're not sure where to begin, it's easy to get lost in planning, research, and preparation. We think we need to be ready before we start, but we never will be completely ready. It's like waiting for the perfect time to start exercising, eating healthy, or saving money. It won't happen. Second, you don't want to start. It's too hard, it's too uncomfortable, or it doesn't seem fun, and that's okay. You don't have to want to do hard things. No one does, but you don't have to want to. You just have to start. Starting allows you to course correct along the way. It gives you room to adjust based on your experiences, not some imagined future. You can start small and grow. You can start rough and improve. But you can't do any of that if you don't start. So here's the deal. You may not feel like it, but you can do it anyway. You may not be ready, but you can start anyway. Here's the biggest secret. You are always training. You're training for things to go perfectly. You're training for things to go wrong. You're training to feel excited and motivated. You're training to feel bored and uninspired. You're training for discomfort and frustration. You're training for victory and defeat. All of these things are being rehearsed, practiced, automated. In other words, you're training. And the scary truth is that whatever you're training for, that's what you'll get. The key is to recognize what you've been training for. Have you been training for excitement or boredom? For motivation or frustration? For comfort or challenge? For action or procrastination? For confidence or self-doubt? For health or stress? For fulfillment or resentment? Because whatever you've been training for, that's what you'll get. And the way to change your life is to change what you're training for. Stop training for things to go wrong, for obstacles and excuses. Start training for solutions, for breakthroughs, for improvements. Stop training for the fear of failure. Start training for the joy of progress. Stop training for mediocrity. Start training for excellence. Because you are always training, whether you realize it or not, whether you want to or not, whether you like it or not. You're training. It's up to you to decide what you're training for. Because the life you're living now is the life you trained for. And if you don't like it, if it's not where you want it to be, then it's time to start training for a better one. That means understanding your habits, not judging them, and then making adjustments. It means recognizing your strengths and doubling down on them. It means focusing on what you can influence and letting go of the rest. It means accepting responsibility and ownership. It means setting boundaries and protecting your time and energy. It means saying yes to the things that matter and no to the ones that don't. It means learning from the past, but not dwelling in it. It means looking forward, but not fantasizing. It means embracing the present and making the most of it. Training is the cornerstone of transformation because it's about consistency, repetition, improvement, and growth. It's about showing up day after day, rep after rep, and getting better. So here's your call to action. What are you training for? Do you like the results? If not, are you willing to adjust? Are you willing to make changes? Are you willing to learn and adapt? Are you willing to push through discomfort and uncertainty? Are you willing to fail forward and keep moving? Are you willing to start? Because you are always training for something. The question is, are you training for the life you want? If not, it's time to start. Start now. Start today. Start with what you have, where you are, with what you know, because you are always training. It's a part of human nature, a part of life itself. And the sooner you embrace it, the sooner you can start reaping the rewards. The sooner you can start living the life you deserve. How do you practice courage? You practice being uncomfortable. How do you practice clarity? You practice meditation. How do you practice excitement? You practice new experiences. You learn how to dance by dancing. You get good at managing money by managing money. You don't just talk about managing money, you actually do it. You become fluent in the language of finances. There's no magic pill to fluency. You have to spend time with the language. The world is full of people who consume books, podcasts, seminars, but they never go apply it, and then they wonder why they're still stuck. Well, you're stuck because you're living a rehearsal and nobody told you. You've got to move to the main stage. Look, life is going to throw a lot of curveballs. It's going to push you beyond your comfort zone. The difference between people is how you respond. Do you curl up and shrink, or do you stand up and stretch? Your answer determines your outcome. You either expand or you contract. You get bigger or you get smaller. The question is, which way are you going? In any given day, you're either getting better or worse. You're either learning or forgetting. You're either becoming braver or more timid. We tend to romanticize the idea of change, but change is happening. Whether you embrace it or resist it, you're going to change. What you decide is what kind of change it will be. Are you going to shrink when life gets smaller or grow when life gets bigger? When life hands you lemons, do you flinch or do you think, all right, let's make lemonade? Life isn't neutral. It's full of opportunities to expand, to prove yourself, to learn something new. You could choose to retreat, you could choose to complain, or you could choose to step forward. The world respects action. It rewards initiative. It's not the size of your dreams that matters most. It's the size of your next step. You can't control the cards you're dealt, but you can control how you play them. You can choose to take the hand you've even dealt and see what you can do with it. Instead of wondering why you got this situation, ask yourself, what can I do with this situation? The world rewards action. The world rewards initiative. Dreams don't win championships. Effort does. Potential doesn't get results. Execution does. And execution is built one habit at a time. You become what you do repeatedly. So if you're not seeing the results you want, chances are you're rehearsing the wrong things. You're spending more time talking about problems than working on them. You're spending more time consuming entertainment than growing yourself. You're spending more time defending your opinions than listening to others. And before you know it, your habits have taken over your life. And I hate to break it to you, but you don't get to pick and choose when those habits show up. They show up in every area of your life. You can't pick and choose when your discipline shows up. It's not like you can say, hey, Brian, can you just send my discipline to my career and relationships? I don't need it in my diet. Thank you very much. Doesn't work like that. Discipline is discipline. Your nervous system knows no exceptions. You can't say, I'm 95% healthy because the biology says I'm 100% you. Stop the excuses. Be honest. What are you rehearsing? Are you rehearsing motivation or procrastination? Are you rehearsing discipline or distraction? Are you rehearsing fear or courage? Are you rehearsing substance or gossip? Are you rehearsing depth or TikTok? Are you rehearsing progress or perfectionism? What are you practicing? because you are always practicing something. And when life hands you the opportunity to use those skills, you're going to be glad you spent the time to develop them. This is why excellence is a habit. You don't wake up and suddenly perform brilliantly. Excellence is a daily practice. You may not win the gold medal tomorrow, but if you practice, you increase the odds that you'll get there someday. You may not feel rich right now, but if you practice financial management, someday the numbers will add up. You may not be famous yet, but if you practice showing up and doing the work, someday you might get noticed. If you want different results, you got to invest in your rehearsal time. It's not about talent. It's about tenacity. It's not about luck. It's about leverage. It's not about connections. It's about character. In the game of life, your character determines your fate, and your character is forged one habit at a time. So if you're tired of the excuses and you're ready to get serious, look at your habits. Ask yourself, am I rehearsing fear or courage? Am I rehearsing weakness or strength? Am I rehearsing offense or defense? Once you figure that out, drop the bad habits and double down on the good ones, because you are always rehearsing something. You're either rehearsing fear or hope, selfishness or generosity, excuses or solutions, offense or defense. Ask yourself, what do I want to do more of? What do I want to do better? And then practice it, because one way or another, you're always practicing. The question is, are you practicing the right things? So what are you rehearsing? Are you rehearsing success or struggle? Are you rehearsing discipline or delay? Are you rehearsing growth or status quo? Are you rehearsing risk or safety? I want you to rehearse your answers. I want you to think about each one of these questions, because the way you respond reveals the kind of person you want to be. Are you done with the excuses, or are you going to keep telling the same story? Are you done with the drama, or are you going to keep playing the victim? Are you going to keep blaming others, or are you going to take responsibility for your own life? I want you to answer this for yourself, because your answer is your commitment. Are you done with playing small, or are you ready to find out how big you can be? Are you done with settling, or are you going to keep fighting for more? Are you done with procrastinating, or are you going to finish what you start? Are you done with being ordinary, or are you going to keep hiding your greatness from the world? Are you done with being afraid, or are you going to start risking? Are you done with giving up, or are you going to keep going even when it hurts? Are you done with defending your past, or are you going to start building your future? Are you done with running away from yourself, or are you going to start facing your problems? Are you done with looking for shortcuts, or are you going to start putting in the work? Are you done with relying on others, or are you gone? Nah, start being responsible for your own life. Are you done with mediocrity, or are you going to start aiming for excellence? Are you done with failure, or are you going to start trying again? Are you done with defeat, or are you going to start fighting for victory? Are you done with doubt, or are you going to start believing in yourself? Are you done with denial, or are you going to face reality? Are you done with fantasy, or are you going to focus on facts? Are you done with criticism, or are you going to start contributing? Are you done with fear, or are you going to start acting? Are you done with excuses, or are you going to start fixing things? Are you done with lies, or are you going to start telling the truth? Are you done with being unhappy, or are you going to start doing something about it? The answers belong to you. You're either done with the old story, or you're still writing it. The question is how you choose to end it, because you don't get to pick the challenges life throws at you, but you can pick how you respond. And that decision, that's pure freedom. Here's the deal. Life doesn't instantly transform. It builds layer by layer, decision by decision, response by response. Your maturity is proven in the mundane, not the monumental. This is the secret most people miss. What you do when no one is looking is what truly counts. And here's the harsh truth. We all get what we put in the work, not what we wish we put in, not what we hope to get out of, but what we put in. There's a profound power in this idea. It's a simple equation, but its implications are vast. Let's break it down. First, understand that everything starts in your mind. If you don't rebuild your thinking, you'll keep making the same choices. You'll stay stuck in familiar patterns. The mind is like a muscle. It adapts to what you expose it to. Whatever you feed it, stretch it toward. That's what it begins producing. So if you've been feeding it reasons why things won't work, you've got to disrupt that. If you've been rehearsing negative self-talk, you've got to challenge it not once, but again and again. Here's the math. If you spend hours a day scrolling, consuming, seeking instant gratification, that's your time and attention devoted to things that don't serve you. And that's not an investment that comes back. If you're filling your mind with noise, you're leaving less space for meaningful reflection. If you're living on autopilot, reacting instead of responding, you're operating at a deficit. Think of it like a savings account. When you deposit money, it grows. When you withdraw money, it shrinks. Your mind works the same way. Positive inputs grow it. Negative inputs shrink it. Now, let me add this layer. What you feed your mind shapes your actions. If you fill it with doubt, fear, negativity, that's what you'll act on. Because when your mind produces it, you consume it. If your inner dialogue is constantly undermining you, you'll find yourself paralyzed. If you're surrounded by naysayers, people who amplify doubts, you'll start to believe them. And pretty soon you're not thinking, I can't do this. It's why bother trying. So the first step to turning things around is to audit what you're feeding your mind. How much time is devoted to growth versus distraction? How much of your inner dialogue is constructive versus destructive? And here's the thing, you can change this. You can choose what you feed your mind. You can set boundaries around your time, your attention, your emotional energy. You can train yourself to recognize and challenge negative thoughts. You can seek out supportive voices instead of toxic ones. It takes effort, yes, but that's what growth does. It requires tending to the inputs that build you up rather than tear you down. Second, let's talk about the output. What you put in works its way out into your actions, your habits, your results, your life. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's not enough to have a pure input. You need a pure output. It's easy to fall into the trap of constant consumption, endless learning, always seeking, but never applying. Let me say it again. It's not enough to keep filling your mind if you're not putting that knowledge to use. It's like having a gym membership you never go to. What's the point? So how do you get from input to output? Through repetition. Deliberate, consistent repetition. Just like you wouldn't expect to bench press 225 pounds after a single session in the gym, you can't expect a massive transformation after a single book or a one-time workshop. Building strength in the mind is a numbers game. It takes reps. So embrace repetition. Find practices that help you internalize ideas, make them actionable. For some, it might be journaling. For others, it could be teaching the material to someone else. For me, it's writing. I've written thousands of pages. Why? Because there's a difference between knowing something and embodying it. And that difference is bridged with reps. Here's a simple rule. If you want to master something, if you want it to influence how you act, do it publicly. Seek feedback. Make yourself vulnerable. That's where the real learning happens. Now, let me clarify this. It's not about being perfect. You won't be. No one is. There will be setbacks, mistakes, moments of weakness. It happens to everyone. It's part of the process. So don't beat yourself up over slip-ups. Just get back to the reps. Consistency is the goal, not perfection. Finally, let's talk about the link between input and output. This is the hardest part to control. Most people get stuck here. They consume, they learn, they nod along, but their actions don't change. They know what's right, but doing what's right is another story. And here's why. Because what you feed your mind needs to be processed first. Knowledge alone doesn't change behavior. It has to be received, digested, integrated, and only then can it influence how you act. And this processing takes time. It happens best when you remove distractions, when you give yourself space to reflect. But most people don't do that. They keep consuming without processing. They keep taking in more without digesting what they already have. So what's the solution? Slow down. Yes, slow down. You already have enough. Stop seeking more. Take what you have, process it, digest it, and let it work on you. You won't always feel like it, but that's where the work happens. That's where the real learning occurs. That's where you move from knowing to doing. So put the phone down, close the laptop, and think. Go for a walk and reflect. Journal your thoughts. Have conversations. Process what you've taken in. Only then will it change how you act. So there you have it, the formula. What you do in private reveals itself in public. It's a function of what you feed your mind and how you process it. So put in what serves you. Don't just consume for the sake of it. Be intentional about what you're taking in. Then process what you've put in. Don't skip that step. Give yourself time to reflect, to integrate, to absorb. Finally, put out what you've taken in. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it, teach it, apply it. That's where the real learning happens. Now, I know this might sound simple, almost too basic to be effective, but here's the truth. Most people know what they should be doing. They've read the books, they've listened to the podcasts, they've watched the videos, but they're not doing it. They're stuck between knowing and doing, and that's where this formula comes in. It's a reminder, it's a framework, it's a system to help you bridge the gap between what you know and what you do. Here's the deal. Life doesn't instantly transform. It builds layer by layer, decision by decision, response by response. Your maturity is proven in the mundane, not the monumental. That's where the formula comes to life. In the daily choices, the routine habits, the everyday interactions. It's not the dramatic moments that define you. It's the small, consistent actions. And look, I get it. It's tempting to seek the quick fix, the overnight success, the shortcut to happiness. But the reality is that lasting change comes from consistent, intentional actions. It's the compound effect in action. Small things done consistently over time yield significant results. So here's your call to action. Start with the inputs. What are you feeding your mind? Is it serving you? Is it helping you grow? If not, change it. Be intentional about what you consume, what you expose yourself to. Then focus on processing. Are you giving yourself time to reflect, to integrate, to absorb what you've taken in? If not, start doing that. Make it a priority. And finally, put out what you've taken in. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it, teach it, apply it. That's where the real growth happens. Remember, it's a numbers game. It takes reps. It takes consistency. It takes dedication. But the payoff is immeasurable. You get to define who you want to be and then prove it to yourself through your actions, your habits, your results, your life. And that, my friends, is the essence of growth. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Years ago, I heard someone say, you can't be calm under pressure if you've never been calm when there's no pressure. In other words, it works the other way too. The person who leads with calm under stress, who keeps their word when it's costly, who handles criticism with grace that didn't come out of nowhere. That's the result of years of private practice, years of discipline, study, repetition, years of doing things the right way even when nobody was clapping. I've always believed that pressure doesn't create character. It reveals it. And what it usually reveals is your level of training. That's why the quiet habits matter so much. Not because they look impressive, but because they prepare you for the moments that do. You can't fake preparation. You can't perform at a higher level than you've trained for. Not consistently. And this is where a lot of people go wrong. They think they can wing it. They think they'll rise to the occasion. But the truth is, you fall to the level of your training. You fall to your patterns. You fall to whatever you've been doing when it didn't seem to matter. So if you're waiting for the big moment to start training, you're already too late. The big moment will expose the work you've already done or haven't done. This is why private habits are sacred. They shape who you are long before the world sees it. The way you treat people when nobody's watching, that becomes your character. The way you study when there's no test at becomes your sharpness. The way you manage your time when your schedule is open, that becomes your discipline. All of it shows up eventually. And let's be honest, people can sense it. You ever meet someone who just has substance? Not flashy, not loud, but solid. You can tell they've been doing the work. You can feel the weight of their preparation. It's in the way they carry themselves, the way they answer a question, the way they handle responsibility. That's not something you can fake. That's something you earn in the quiet. So if you want public results, start with private practice. If you want to be confident when the pressure rises, build habits when it's quiet. If you want to lead others, lead yourself when no one's looking. Don't train for show. Train for substance. Train for resilience. Train for the life you want to live, not the image you want to project, because eventually the lights will come on. The moment will arrive, and in that moment, you won't have time to prepare. You'll only have time to perform, and you'll perform exactly how you've trained. You train for this life, whether you meant to or not. The habits, the patterns, the routines you've been practicing something every day, and the results you're living with right now. That's the evidence. That's what all that practice has built. Not what you hoped for, not what you wished would happen, but what you've trained for. And maybe you didn't realize it. Maybe it was unconscious. But that doesn't change the outcome, because repetition always leads somewhere. And if you don't choose where it's leading, it'll take you wherever your habits point, good or bad, helpful or harmful. You're always headed somewhere. Training is the steering wheel. So if you don't like where you are, you've got two choices. You can either complain about the destination, or you can get to work turning the wheel. And guess what? Every time you make a choice, you're training. Every time you put something off, you're training. Every time you settle for less than your best, you're training. Stop lying to yourself. You're always training. The question is, will you train for success or for failure? Will you keep doing what got you where you are, or try something different? Will you complain more or work harder? Will you expect more from others or from yourself? This is the fork in the road. And as hard as it might be to hear, the difference between where you are and where you want to be is almost entirely a difference between your habits. Don't believe me? Try changing them. Even one small habit, one tiny adjustment, and watch what happens. Watch how fast your circumstances change. Watch how quickly the results start to add up. Here's the beautiful thing about habits. They're almost entirely under your control. Of course, there are things you can't control, but most of it is up to you. It's your choice to stay up too late or get an early start. It's your choice to eat right or eat whatever's convenient. It's your choice to read or watch TV, to connect with your family or scroll through social media. Every moment, every second, you're making these choices, these hundreds of small decisions that compound over time. And the fact that they're small is what makes them so dangerous. Because small decisions, when repeated over months and years, create huge outcomes. That's why habits are so powerful. It's not about willpower. It's not about motivation. It's about direction. Choose the right direction, and you'll go there. Some people are like magnets for opportunity. It's not because they're luckier. It's not because they're smarter. It's because they've trained for it. They've shown up prepared. They've put in the reps. When the chance came, they were ready. We admire their confidence, their focus, their results, but we rarely look behind the curtain. We rarely see the hours in the gym or the lonely practice sessions. We don't see the years of discipline and sacrifice. What we do see is the winner's circle, and we wonder how they got there. Well, the answer is simple, though maybe not easy. They trained. That's how they got there. They trained with purpose, with intention, with precision. They did the right thing repeatedly until it became their norm. They made it a habit. This is the key to understanding habits. It's not what you do once or twice or even 10 times. It's what you do repeatedly over months and years. That's what defines you. That's what creates your character. That's what builds your future. Your future is not a place you're going to. It's a person you're becoming. And that person is being formed right now by your daily habits. I've said this before, but it's worth repeating. When you do what's right repeatedly, it becomes your identity. When you do what's easy repeatedly, it becomes your crutch. When you do what's comfortable repeatedly, it becomes your excuse. There's a quote I heard recently that I've been thinking about. It goes, "If you want to know what a man's character is, get him a job." Why? Because that's where your training shows up. That's where your habits reveal themselves. That's where you fall back on old patterns. That's where your true self emerges. That's where your character is tested. That's why jobs are such great teachers. That's why problems are such great shapers. So, here's the challenge. Here's the wake-up call. If you're unhappy with the direction of your life, it's time to change your training. It's time to make new deposits into your habits bank account. It's time to start working for the future you want. Stop hoping for it. Stop wishing for it. Stop waiting for it. Start working for it. Work for it every day, every hour, every minute, every second. Do the right thing repeatedly and make it a habit. Do the hard thing repeatedly and make it a norm. Do the uncomfortable thing repeatedly and make it a lifestyle. Because eventually your habits will win. Eventually your training will pay off. Eventually your life will change. So don't keep doing what you've been doing. You already know where that leads. Choose a new path. Start with a new habit. Make it a promise to yourself. Commit to it. Promise to follow through. Keep your word to yourself, because the person you want to be is already there. They're already practicing. They're already training. They're already doing the work. The only thing you have to do is join them. You have to get to work.